Hello, everyone. This is Heather. Before we get started, just remember to visit us on Facebook and Instagram, like, follow, share, subscribe, and make sure you give us 5 stars on any of the platforms you're listening to us on, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart. Give us a click, smash that button.
And this is Laura from Is This the Norm?
And this is Rebecca, the eldest sister. I'll be your host for this episode where we'll be talking about some grave robbing stories. So, graves and tombs have been getting robbed for thousands of years. People have been digging up dead bodies to pillage the valuables, probably ever since valuable items have been buried with the dead people. Then, for centuries, medical students and universities had to resort to digging up dead people to use their bodies as cadavers for use in medical studies, because it wasn't legal to conduct experiments and studies on dead people in most places until the 19th or 20th centuries. However, there's a lot of discussions about that out there, so we won't be talking about that today. This episode, we will be talking about stories where dead bodies were dug up for other strange reasons. For example, there are several instances where bodies were stolen as part of a ransom scheme. The most famous example is that of Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin died in December 1977. He was buried in Switzerland near the home where he and his wife lived. 3 months later, after he was buried, his grave was found open, coffin missing, drag marks leading away from his gravesite where the coffin was dragged to where it was presumably loaded into a vehicle. 2 men, a bit later, contacted Charlie's widow and demanded £332,000, which is about 1.7 million pounds today, or $2.6 million. Charlie's widow never intended or entertained paying the ransom because she considered his remains to be just that, remains, a body, not Charlie. She said her husband was in heaven in her heart and nowhere else. However, she did lead the body snatchers on to assist the police in catching them, which they did after about 2 months. They were able to recover Charlie's body and rebury him in his original grave with the addition of 6 feet of concrete to prevent anyone else from digging him up again. So sometimes bodies are dug up to move them because someone thinks they are not in the right place or properly memorialized. If you don't remember who Thomas Paine was, he was the author of Common Sense. The intention of this political work, which they called pamphlets back then, and they were widely publicized throughout America. The purpose of it was to persuade American colonists to declare independence from Great Britain. It became the best-selling pamphlet in colonial America. Basically, it paved the way for the Declaration of Independence. So when Thomas Paine died in 1809, he was living in poverty and was basically buried in a field in New York State. So 10 years later, his biggest fan, a fellow pamphleteer, William Cobbett, decided that that situation was unacceptable. So he dug up his body, took the body to England, and for the next 16 years, until William died, he tried to get enough money for a grand memorial for Thomas Paine, but it was never able to pull it off. So no one knows actually for sure what happened to Thomas Paine's body. So, ironically, if he would have just left Paine's body alone, since everybody knew where it was, it's likely that some American or Americans later on would have memorialized his burial site. So, well-intentioned, but maybe not so smart. So the next story, just a forewarning, is really gross. So be prepared. In 2011, 2 brothers in Pakistan, Arif Ali and Farman Ali, were arrested for grave robbing. What they were not arrested for or charged with, because Pakistan does not have any laws against it, is cannibalism. They found corpses in their home that were in the process of being cooked, turned into curry. They were charged and convicted of desecrating a grave and served 2 years in jail. When they were let out, their neighbors were not happy about that because there was a lot of resentment in Pakistan about that short sentence. After they were let out, they kept to themselves and lived what appeared to be a low-key life. However, in April of 2014, exactly 3 years to the month after they were arrested previously, neighbors reported a rotten smell to the authorities, and they were arrested again. This time, the body of a 2-year-old child was found in their home, and they said they were making curry from the child's corpse. This time, they got a longer prison term of 12 years because basically the authorities threw any and all convictions that they could get to stick, like terrorism. They literally charged them with terrorism to make sure they were going to go away for a long time. So you may be wondering, along with Pakistan and the rest of the world, why these two brothers would engage in this behavior.
Was the 2-year-old from another grave?
Yeah, they found several bodies. Actually, both time, not just one body, was pieces of bodies basically were found. Both times. The second time, it was even worse than the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right.
They obviously had a taste for it, I guess.
Well, that's the problem, is that these people, when they aren't put away, when they come back out, it always escalates, right? It always gets worse. That, unfortunately, that seems like what's happened here. And thankfully, now they have laws. They've learned, this is a problem, right? That's what it sounds like, Rebecca?
No, they
Dang
don't.
it. Not
Yeah.
good.
That's a really good question I was hoping you guys would ask. Do you think that it is common for countries to have cannibalism laws against cannibalism?
I would think not, because I'd like to think that it's very rare, but I
Exactly.
have no idea.
That's exactly true. There are
Right.
countries that have laws against it, and there's a reason why they have laws against it in those countries, because they have a history of practicing it, like Papua New Guinea. So, yeah, something
the
I've
I
first
knew
one
about
that came to my
Papua
mind. Yeah.
New Guinea, yeah, and because there's a place that people go to where they drill oil. I don't think it's Papua New Guinea. There's another country where they have to put big fences up to protect the oil field workers because there's cannibalism there. So they get paid a lot, but high risk.
Yeah, really high risk. So for these two guys, they can only speculate that, and it was probably a combination of things, of some of these things. So mysticism, meaning the brothers thought eating human flesh would grant them special powers. Revenge against their neighbors for, probably both real and perceived slights against their family. Both of the brothers' wives had left them. So, they couldn't keep wives, so they were probably abnormal,
so
would be my
surprised.
guess, in one way or another. Maybe not just this, yeah. So they were isolated, very remote area, probably developed some mental instability, isolation. And then also maybe they became accustomed to the taste of human flesh. So could be one of those things, all of those things. They're just guessing. But that's the grossest example. So now you might think, based on these histories, that grave robbing is a thing of the past, in America at least. But you would be wrong. Just this year, in January, this year, a 34-year-old man in Pennsylvania, Jonathan Gerlach, was arrested for stealing human remains from graves in Delaware County. Now, this is a county that's just to the west of Philadelphia. So we're not talking about rural here. It's pretty populated. Basically, for months, this guy had been breaking into graves, mausoleums, and underground vaults in the historic Mount Moriah Cemetery in order to sell them online. He was caught because he wasn't being smart about it at all. He left cigarettes, energy drinks at the scene. So DNA. They figured out who it was, arrested him, had a warrant for his house, went to his house. They found over 100 sets of human remains in his home. Worse than that, Something worse than that. Corpses were found hanging from the ceiling. Imagine the cops. Imagine the cops, you guys, that came and executed this warrant. It was like a scene from a horror movie. They literally
Yeah, this
said
reminds
that.
me, like he's a cross between, I don't know if he's eating these people, but like
No,
Ed Gein,
no, he
Dahmer.
was. This was purely for monetary purposes. He was doing this for
Got it.
money. I know that a lot of us have done some less desirable things for money, but this takes the cake for me.
So what, I kind of missed, what was he selling? Was he selling body parts or like jewelry that he,
No,
body
no, no.
parts? Like to who?
Body.
Like how many people want body parts and what are they doing?
Apparently,
That
there's a
scares
market
me.
for it.
Like it's scary that this one guy has dead bodies in his house, but what's even more scary is that there are several people in the United States that are buying these body parts.
Well, it could be other
Exactly.
places too.
Scary.
Like,
Well,
Yes.
yeah, true. In the world.
Yes.
Very true. Good point.
Yeah, he very likely had a global market.
Oh my goodness.
The demand for it. Oh,
Okay,
there
so
had to
it's
be a
not as
demand for
rare
it.
as I thought it was. What the heck?
Yeah.
That's the devil's work.
Yeah. I mean, now, technically, there have been a lot of grave robbing and body snatching in the name of science, if you think about it.
Sorry, my armpits are sweaty over this. Okay, I know that's gross, but like, I don't
TMI.
know. That just did something weird
Ew.
to me. I know I got sweaty armpits.
No, I have heard about the like for science, medical. I listened to another podcast where I can't remember the names. I'm sure you guys probably have heard of it and know about it, but they're like talking about a medical doctor grave robbing to do experiments or learn about the human body. It's a famous story. I just can't remember the
Yeah,
names.
it's Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, well, that one too, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is not a fictional. It's a real story.
No.
I know, I'm just giving you heck.
Creepy.
There is not just one story. There is thousands of stories like that because
Sure.
the medical community needed to study cadavers. I mean, we still study cadavers, the medical students, to this day. Fortunately, you can now donate your body to science so that they don't have to go digging up people from graves, thankfully.
And a side note, our great grandma donated her body to science for that reason.
Of course she
Grandma
did.
Jean. R.I.P. We love you, Grandma Jean.
Of course she did. I think that's where we get our smarts from.
Yeah, she's a pretty cool lady.
Yeah, she was. We even got to see Cole, before she passed. But I'm just going to say this. I know this is probably like a big family secret, but I'm going to tell you right now. When I was 16, I saw my Grandma Jean, have a few too many beers.
Oh no, it was just 2 fingers in a coffee cup, Heather.
When you have your mom, okay, this is the scene. I'm just real quick. Great grandma.
Telling on her, she ain't even here to defend
God
herself.
rest her soul. She was a partier. But my mom, our mom, and our grandma had to put great grandma to bed because she had a little bit too much of the spirits.
But in all fairness, that was her younger years. She was like late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was. I mean, I'm 44 now. This was when I was like 16.
And she lived to be in her mid 90s. 94, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or
Yeah, I
95,
think that's
don't
right.
know.
Yeah,
I can't
you're
even
right,
handle that much
Rebecca.
beer.
Mid 90s. That's crazy. She lived forever. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That was 20 years before she died. Give her a break, Laura. She had so much time left. She needed
I
to
know,
drink.
that's what I'm saying. In all fairness, she was pretty young. I did give her the break. Heather was being hard on her.
Not being hard on her. It's just funny that the women in our family still be drinking
When
that
Coraline
beer.
and Sylvia put you to bed when you're 80, they're going to be telling everybody about it, Heather. My Aunt Heather, and her wine and her Doritos.
I really can't handle wine anymore. I'm going to be serious. Like, Jed keeps trying to give me wine, and I'm like, I can't. I really can't anymore. But I've used my energy towards exercise. I'm trying to do
You'll
that
find a
this time.
second wind. It's in your genetics.
What? Towards what?
I'll have a second wind. You're probably right.
Just give it till 70. You'll find it.
Yeah. You'll be okay. Yeah, so technically there's been a lot of grave robbing and body snatching in the name of science, if you think about it, because technically archaeologists, like the ones that have historically and are studying ancient civilizations, they're grave robbing. Just saying, they're grave robbing. And sometimes body snatching. How many mummies and treasures are in museums on display that were pilfered from scientists grave robbing? Something to think about.
Honestly, I've thought of that. I think of these people like way back when, and they have very elaborate funerals, and these, like the mummies, for instance, of the pyramids in Giza. Like elaborate funerals, lots of time and effort, and here we are digging them up and putting them on display. Like, that's kind of horrifying and sad and disrespectful.
It
Makes me
it
think of
definitely is.
my episode Rapa Nui. They did that on Easter Island. They took the statue, which pretty much is a headstone for their ancestors. So they're taking the headstones, and the caveat is that, they worked with the locals to be like, hey, we're going to dig this up. And the locals were like, yeah, we want to know about it too, but we need a good process to make sure they're respected. So, but yeah, it's the same thing. It really is.
Yeah, and I'm sure all of us have heard those horrible stories about, the dead bodies are unfortunately a market. So that means that sometimes when bodies are supposed to be donated to science, they end up in sketchy hands. They end up as part of like a macabre show and like on display that people pay to see, or like at shows that they have like, oh, here's the bodies for sale, like things like that, that there's trying to get more regulation to stop it from happening. But unfortunately, it does happen. So if you do say, I'm going to donate my body to science, which I will, because I don't really care. Do with my body what you will, because I'm not in that body anymore. I don't really care. But you're not going to be able to, because I'm going to get cremated anyway. But, technically, I don't really care. But, some people might, and some people's family members might as well. And sometimes there's a lot of things that are like heads are found in random places. Body parts are found in random places, and they go to their loved ones and they're like, hey, why is this happening? And it's because some shady individual in the name of science got a hold of that body and sold it to whoever was willing to pay the highest price. And so they end up in some field in Georgia. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just guessing, but I'm sure it's happened because it's happened in a lot of places.
Ugh. Why? Just why? And the smell. I just keep going back to like going into these houses, the smell, like living in it. Because you said with the people from Pakistan, where the neighbors are like, where you smell something. Like, could you imagine living in like, do they just get used to the smell? I mean, maybe it's like a dog, where that dead smell is attractive to those people. I don't know. It's just weird.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible.
I have questions. So many
Okay.
questions. So outside of the Pakistan, you said there's like thousands of stories, and I know this isn't about cannibalism, but like percentage wise, if you could guess, like how many of these grave robbings were like related to cannibalism? Like how often do we see that in general?
Oh, I think
We can
it's
hear
probably
you looking it up right now, Rebecca.
It's
I can
probably
hear you
like-
typing.
Yeah, no, I'm just guessing. I don't think we're going to have statistics on that or anything. But I don't think we're going to have anything on that, because there's just how many times has it been kept under wraps? They're not going to say, "Oh yeah, I dug up some graves and I ate that person."
I mean, like, how long are they sitting in there before they eat them? Like, at some point, it's got to make you sick. I mean, I know that's like outside of the morality of it is like a whole nother, ball of wax. Like, what are you thinking? But like, that's got to be dangerous too. If like you're digging up a body that's been dead for a while, I don't know how they do it in Pakistan, at least at the time, because that sounds like it was only like 10 years ago or 12 years ago. If they had embalming there or not, like, I'm not sure how that could taste good. I know I'm getting into the minutia.
Well, and I mean, technically, you could argue the point that it is not immoral. It's not going to waste, and we are just animals physically. But most of us, it is an abhorrent thought to consume human flesh. Like there were some of the individuals in the famous Andes plane crash where they had to resort to cannibalism. There were people that died because they physically were unable to consume that meat. Some of them refused because they were like not going to do it, but there were also those that just could not get it down. So, you could argue that it was not immoral for them to consume their fellow passengers who had died during the crash because that kept them alive.
Right. I agree 100%. It is not immoral
Well, yeah,
to survive, but it's
right.
definitely immoral to be eating. And I know you both agree with this. It's immoral to be eating dead bodies just for the sake of doing it. Just like it's heartbreaking to hear that you've buried your loved one and you have that closure to later find out that their head's buried in Georgia somewhere. Like it's not just a body, but it's like, just like if you go to a funeral and they have an open casket, there's something about that. There's some closure there. There's some burying that person gives closure, or cremating that person gives closure. Because we have cognitive thinking, we're different than, just like a hyena that would eat its brother or sister. It's sad. There's some ethics there.
Hey, why are you picking on hyenas? What the heck?
Well, they're mean. They're bad.
Okay, that's just Lion King. You don't know. You don't know.
Oh, no, I didn't. Heather, I don't get all my info from cartoons. Only like 50%.
No, they are mean. It's true, because I watched this episode on Disney called Queens, and like one of the pack leaders, she's female, it's like the grandma, and she had like another set of puppies, and her daughter killed her puppies because it's like the most recent one she had being the queen. I don't remember how the pecking order works, but yeah, her daughter like waited till she was gone, and one of her other daughters was babysitting her babies, and the mean daughter came and killed them so she could be the pack leader. So yeah, you're right. I was just giving you heck, but they are pretty brutal when it comes to like who's taking over the pack.
I wonder if that's a scavenger thing. Is that how scavengers are in general?
No, orcas are the same way.
Oh,
I have a story about that too, but I don't want to impede. I'll save it because I think Laura is thinking about doing an orca episode, and I figured I'd save that tidbit for when she does that episode, if it doesn't include it.
I guess that's one thing I didn't know about orca.
Yeah, they're pretty brutal when it comes to like saving the genetic line coming from she's not a queen. I mean, you could call her a queen.
The matriarch.
Yeah.
That's how it is with hyenas. There's a matriarch. There's a lady in charge.
Yeah, but with orcas, it's like more based on keeping the genetic line going versus like with hyenas, it's just like, I want to be the leader.
Well, I know that orca will like, the women stay in the pod and then the boys, the male orca go off searching.
Not always.
Well, that's generally what they want to do.
Like the matriarch, who's the grandma, might have a son, and she wants that son to continue her line, and he'll stay in her pod with her to do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That. I guess I got to watch more Disney.
You do. Queens is awesome. I highly recommend. It talks about, because really women should rule the world, because everywhere else they do.
I don't know. Maybe we'd have more cannibalism if women ruled the world. We'd be eating each other like spiteful and mean.
Well, we'd have hopefully less males. That's all I'd hope for.
Yeah, that could be a good thing. Just pick one really good man with like really good genetics, and we'll all just have a whole bunch of daughters from him.
That's how it usually works.
Perfect world.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
He'll be a quiet man.
Right.
That's kind, does as he's told. No,
like our grandpa. I wish
we sound like evil women. We're just kidding, everybody.
I'm not.
Well, that's honestly what I kept thinking about when reading these stories, because our grandfather that we all love very, very much died recently. Not recently, but a year and a half ago, not even. And so that's what I kept thinking about, like, how would I feel if someone had done this to Grandpa? And I wouldn't feel very kindly towards those people, that's for sure. I would want to do some
heartbreaking.
bad things to them if they messed with him. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
you can
there's
understand.
something to that. I don't know what it is, but like, you don't mess with that. You let people have their closure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why burial ceremonies have been around for thousands of years. We those are our loved ones, and we want them to rest in peace, whatever that takes, and whatever that
different-
is in people's minds.
On another note, there is a culture, and I cannot remember where it is because I have terrible memory, but they like mummify their ancestors, and then every year they dig them back up and like look at them and talk to their bodies, like happy and loving and celebrate with them.
It
Like
might
they
be
redig them
Japan,
up.
but I
No,
could
it's
be
not
wrong.
Japan. It's somewhere in that vicinity. Oh, I can't remember. But,
Japan's an island, so I'm not sure what you mean in that vicinity.
like that part of the world.
Okay, got it.
Well, I mean, Japan, they that is their religion, is their ancestry. So, I should have looked and seen if there was any indications of stuff like this going on, but I bet not, because they would hang them in the streets, if anybody messed with their ancestors, because that is literally their religion. So, I doubt things like this go on very
It
often
was in
at all.
Indonesia. Indonesia is where they do it. It's in the south of Indonesia. I can't say the names. I'm not even going to try. But in Indonesia, it was that culture that they dig them back up and like show them love and affection. It's really sweet, actually.
Okay.
I mean, it's weird to us because we're
Yeah.
afraid of, like, we don't go
Right.
to, like, in Mexico, they have the Day of the Dead and they go to the cemeteries and they celebrate and they play music and they offer, their favorite cuisine to their dead ones as like an offering to them. Like, I don't know why it is weird, honestly, that we're afraid of that in our culture.
Right.
But-
I think it's because we're afraid of death in general in our culture.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Yeah, we are.
Which
So
is
when
also
you're
weird.
watching these people, they dig up these bodies, and this guy has this huge smile on his face, and he's like, "This is my grandma," and he's like
Right.
so happy. It's like, oh, like we should feel that when we go to graves too. Like, this is my grandpa, and I
Right.
loved him. I don't know. It was sweet if you like watch them interact and the way they present it. It was really loving.
I mean, life is part of death. We all die. There's no escaping that. So I'm not sure why we're afraid of it. It's kind of an irrational thing, but it is a thing that is, I think that our culture is definitely one of the cultures that is highly afraid of death, and our medical community, I think, contributes to that
I think
by
also
pushing stuff to.
I think also it's just fear of the unknown because none of us really know what's going to happen.
Well, yeah.
We've never died before.
Right.
So it's just like this unknown that we just aren't sure of. And so that, of course, that's going to be scary.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes, though,
Definitely.
is don't ever take life so serious because none of us are getting out alive. Little side note, I
Right.
think that one's a cute one.
Yeah. Circle of life. Go back to the Lion King. Circle of life.
We'll
We
become
all
the
die.
grass.
All right, that is our episode today. Or is this the norm? Thank you for joining us. Join us next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.